In this article we continue discussion of the potential risks of operating near underground services and propose effective management strategies for reducing direct and indirect risks that may arise. Planning the work. Obtaining information on services. There are several free and chargeable services to help with the process of determining who may have underground services in worksite and arranging for copies of plans and service records to be given. But in case of emergency work when the needed information may not be available, then in this case, consider the site having underground utilities. Electricity. Although the majority of electrical service cables usually owned by the Regional Distribution Network Center, sometimes it's owned by others like the Ministry of Defense, power producing firms, National Grid, Street Lighting Authority or roadways. In this case, use every moment to find the owner and get in touch with them. Gas. Usually the majority of underground gas pipelines are run by public gas carriers, so all you need before starting any work is to make sure to speak with them if there are gas pipes operating at pressure. Other services. There may be additional underground pipes near or on Ministry of Defense locations, universities, hospitals and airports, so when construction work is scheduled on such sites, get in touch with the site's owner or occupant to find out more particular details regarding underground services. Provision of plans by service owners. Owners should supply either current readable plans showing the recorded line and depth of all known services buried in the planned work area, or other appropriate information that achieves the same goal. Should also establish strategies to cope with crises outside of office hours so that operators can be provided with plans for underground services when they receive their work orders. Use and limitation of plans. Plans alone are insufficient for identifying and locating providers before beginning construction. And although they vary in size, content and style, they offer the foundation for a full site survey before construction begins. As a result, everybody who needs to use plans must be properly instructed and trained on how to understand and interpret them. And although plans can indicate the location, configuration and number of underground services at certain site and should aid in subsequent tracing by detecting devices or locators, keep in mind that they aren't always drawn to scale, so errors may have occurred during the drafting process or the reproduction may have altered the scale. So don't rely solely on them to calculate distances or depths. Why accuracy may be further limited. Maybe the position of reference points have changed since the plans were produced, resulting in inaccurate depths, or cables may have been moved without the owner's knowledge. Also, it is probable that many service connections are not marked, or long cables might have been installed in horizontal loops outside substations or switch rooms, and even plans may indicate spare ducts, or the older service routes may not be documented. Duties as a client. Although files and other data may contain information about underground services, it could have been collected for past work and now it's out of date, so the most recent information should be included in the tender information. Briefly, clients are required to make reasonable inquiries concerning underground services. Provide relevant information to the designers and contractors. Assess how contractors handled the dangers associated with underground services, and if he is unable or unwilling to gather this information, then they must give the contractor enough time and resources to do it instead. Duties as a designer. The designer must minimize associated risks with underground service damage as well as advising workers about any remaining concerns through working drawings. Then he shall set risk reduction strategy by relocating services away from construction sites and make the electrical cables dead so that the work can proceed securely. He is capable of avoiding services during construction by repositioning or redesigning structures, disconnecting the supply or using ground beams to bridge or span them. Duties as a contractor. Contractors must provide safe work environments for employees by identifying and assessing potential dangers. Provide clear information on underground services, including their type, location, and status, as well as the necessary instruments, equipment, and working methods to prevent damage. They shall ensure that personnel doing the work have enough information, clear instructions and training to do so safely, ensure that the task is properly managed and supervised. Prior to coming on site, he shall provide information on the dangers associated with underground utilities and document where and when services have been disconnected, then deliver this information to other contractors working in the area. Cooperate with any major contractor to ensure that any rules or agreed-upon working methods are followed. After the job is finished, he shall advise the client and the owners of any other services came across about any newly installed or discovered underground services. This will enable them to update their own records regarding the status of their services, and it ought to be shared with those who require it for upcoming development, maintenance, and repair projects.